Welcome to the session on crafting prompts for generative AI. Crafting prompts will become part of the legal research process. Just the way that you ask a question of a friend, if you ask the right question, you'll get the answer you're looking for more efficiently, or at least in the form that you want it and with the relevant amount of detail. Better prompting will make you a better lawyer and a better law student because you'll be able to get the results you want for the situation that you're analyzing. This section is about how to create better prompts and get you what you want faster. What are prompts? Well, prompts are very much the way that you talk to AI. Much like you might write a natural language search in Westlaw and Lexis, or do some sort of a nested search with ands and ors and parentheses, prompts are used with generative AI to get you what you want. So, some things that are important here are using relevant keywords. The AI will look at those keywords, especially unusual words, and try to find similar sections in documents that use those words or similar words. It already has a thesaurus, so you don't have to worry about using alternative words, but effectively it's looking for concepts. AI will then base its response and return those sections that are most similar to the parts of your question that are unusual. But remember that chat is more than search. Chat can give you information about the document that you're researching or the whole world of law, but you can also ask it to redefine something, to compare states, or to do other in-depth processes after you ask the first question that were not part of the first question. Here's a poor prompt. Who won Best Supporting Actress? Now, if you're sitting around on the couch, you might say, oh, well, the Best Supporting Actress is probably the person who won it most recently, and the awards were likely the Oscars, so the Best Supporting Actress was the person who won in the previous Oscars. Well, if you ask a generic AI tool that, it doesn't have all that context, so you have to spell things out a bit more. For example, which year? You might have just been watching a movie and wondering, well, who the Best Supporting Actress was in the year of the movie that you were watching. Or maybe you live in another country and the movie awards that you're talking about are not the Oscars, but the awards in that other country. So it's best not to assume and try to be brief with your prompts. It's actually better to include more content when in doubt. The first steps, and this is just an introduction, we'll go into each of these in more detail, is to include details to get more relevant answers. If you say that there was a situation in which there was a crash into a lamppost, it might be relevant as to whether that crash was a bicycle or a car. So include details about what actually happened. The more details you give, the better the results will be. You can ask the model to adopt a persona based on what you are looking for. Are you trying to explain negligence to a 5-year-old? Are you trying to explain it to a jury? You can use these tips of thinking about who you're talking with or who you're trying to communicate to make a better prompt. Sometimes you can break down the steps. For example, in a complex task, you might intuitively imagine write a paper. But really, there are many steps to writing a paper, and hoping the AI, by breaking it down, will get you a better result. If you're looking for a particular document type, you could provide examples, because then it can use the document that you offered and mimic that document while including the relevant information from your prompt. And finally, consider specifying the desired length of the output. Do you want 50 words, 500 words? Being more specific about what you want will get you a better result. Let's talk about detail. Well, some of these things are factual and some of these things are legal, and you need to think about them all in advance. So, what is the jurisdiction? If you don't include that, then some tools, like ChatGPT, might assume that you are wherever your computer is, but you might not be researching the law of that location. Other tools will ask you, what is the jurisdiction if you don't include it? But if you're clear about the jurisdiction, the parties, the key terms, and what points of law you think are relevant, then the AI is going to help you find other areas that might be relevant or other key terms that you hadn't thought of to arrive at better or different solutions to your legal challenge. State material facts. So if it was a situation where someone was evicted, you might consider circumstances of the eviction, conditions of the apartment, other contexts that might help the AI better analyze your particular situation. You might want to specify the goal and purpose. Do you want it to draft a memo? Do you want it to draft a letter to a landlord? Are you drafting a temporary restraining order? By stating what your purpose is, why are you consulting the AI, that will help you get a better result. This goes with the expected answer format, which is that memo type, but you can also talk about, for example, would you like it to generate a quiz? You could have it quiz you on content by saying, please generate multiple choice questions. Or please draft, as we talked about, a 100-word answer. If you have specific details about the legal context of your situation, for example, you found a good case, then including that case citation when using legal AI is going to help you, because the case citation may show up in other relevant documents in the world that the AI is using. And so it will help it quickly home in on the relevant context and therefore generate a better answer. If you're requesting a case summary, including the citation is essential because often there are many cases that have the same name. And so how is it going to generate a summary when there are 16 cases that all have the name of Jones v. Smith? Follow up. We always talk about this as following up with the answer. If you don't like what the AI generated or if you think it could be better, just tell it how it could be better and ask it to regenerate it. If you're not quite sure where to go, you can also ask it to create alternative prompts, and maybe sometimes those subsequent prompts will help you to generate a better answer. This context is important. This is the persona section, really, and it's saying, act as if you are my lawyer. This is what you might suggest if you're a pro se litigant using AI to help understand a legal issue. You want to be talking to a lawyer. But if you're a partner, you might want the AI to be acting as if it's a senior associate, doing what you want, but not explaining things to you because on the theory that you already know it, but providing content about the very specific fact matter. If you ever want to explain the rule against perpetuities to your child, you might say, answer me as a 5th grader. And it will dispense the information, but at a grade level that's appropriate. And it can also do translation. So if you wanted it converted into another language, AI is shown to be quite good at translation. You can also chat with it. Some people are considering using AI, not so much for the practice of law at this stage, but for bouncing ideas that aren't necessarily legal. How do I deal with this particular interpersonal challenge? And if you want an opinion, a draft opinion written as if it were written by Learned Hand or William Faulkner, you're welcome to try that by just saying, please write this in the style of blank. This is where some of the copyright issues come up if you are asking it to create images in the style of a modern artist. Sometimes you have a complex task. Like a partner might give you a singular challenge that is very large, and you're not quite sure, and it almost seems overwhelming. But tasks become less overwhelming if you break them into subparts and achieve them in sequence. So what this can do, in the same way that you feel that feeling of being overwhelmed, you can ask the AI to break down the task and say, what are the 6 parts of this task? Please complete each of those parts and then combine them. And that will often, surprisingly, get you a better result than if you just asked it the question and told it to do it. The breaking down of a complex task into simple tasks, whether it's doing the legal research, ensuring all the cases are good law, drafting an outline, and then completing the written product, will get you a better result than just saying, write a memo about X. In addition, if you're working personally and you can't use the AI, what you can do is use the AI to help you by asking it to break down the steps you need. And then you follow those steps and you'll provide a better answer than you would have if you'd just been overwhelmed and feeling underwater the whole time. Giving examples is incredibly valuable because if you have a motion for summary judgment that you really like, your firm likes, or let's say that you have a paper that has been very successful, a short answer question, let's say, and you want it to give answers to different questions, but in the form of that previously successful model, providing that model helps the AI to give you something similar to the original. So what it does, an example implicitly gives length, format, kind of a structural overall aspect. Is it the bullet points? Is it complete text? Or is it a format that is a motion, for example? If you're concerned about confidentiality while adding a document, what you can do is you can either redact it or you can go through and replace all the party names with other party names. And that way you'll be submitting a document that has sort of been neutralized. It doesn't have any confidential information in it, yet it has the same format as the document that you're looking to create. You can also, and this is crucial, request citations to source documents. So you don't have to take what the AI gives you and just believe it as a block of text. You can say, where did this information come from? You can say, please include Blue Book formatted citations in the text. You can even convert the format. So for example, you might see a memo and say, please convert this into a motion for summary judgment. And here is a draft of a motion for summary judgment that you can use as a model. And what it can do is then travel between formats from the memo to the document or to a contract, for example. So this has as many uses in transactional work as it does in litigation. And we'll see that as AI evolves and enters all spheres of law. Here are a few tips. You can also add to your prompt to say, I don't know, if you're not certain, because you don't want the AI telling you something as if it's truth, when really underneath the hood it's unsure if this is the answer, but it's been programmed to sound authoritative. You can ask it to generate prompts as we discussed. You can change the tone. Like some people have a natural tone and they want to change it, but it doesn't come naturally. So you can ask the AI to alter a letter to make it sound kinder, more aggressive, more friendly, whatever you need. As we talked about writing, you can define both the format and you can also ask it to summarize documents. You can upload documents, a single document, and have it summarize it in something called Chat PDF and a variety of other tools that are coming. This is where we get to the more challenging tips. And so there are discussions about how AI responds to prompts. And this is important because if you give the AI motivation to do a good job, it appears to give better results in certain contexts. So I pass this along as something to experiment with. You don't need to say please and thank you. Getting straight to the point means you're not confusing it with those words. In addition, if you add motivation, like I will tip you for a better solution, or you must do X, or you will be penalized if you do Y, you will sometimes get a better response. I encourage you to play with this, but remember that AI is not a person, so some things are just differently dynamically, at least for now. We'll see how this area evolves, but it's complicated. You can also change it if it sounds too automated, and this is one of the areas where people are playing with AI detection and the challenges of detecting AI written text, is that if you say answer the question in a natural human-like manner, or change the phrasing to sound like spoken text, you're going to get a different result, and whether that content can still be detected is really questionable. So in conclusion, prompts matter. You will get different results by entering different prompts. If you pretend you're talking to a person, other than that last section about being blunt and mean, you will then get a better result because you're adding context that that person, which is the AI, needs to know to answer the question the best it can. You want to be specific about what you want. What does the output look like? And finally, expect to have to follow up because just like people, you don't always get what you want the first time, and it's an iterative process to both create the prompt but also to get the result that you're looking for. So, thank you very much for that. And in the next section, we'll be covering ethics and AI use.